Welcome everyone to the May Small Business Workshop produced by Downtown Raleigh Alliance. Raleigh Pride, how to be a more inclusive business for the LGBTQIA+ community. I'd like to thank our gold sponsor, Pointer Spruill, for making this possible.
Slides don't want to advance.
Here we are. Okay. So my name is Roxanne Lundy, and I'm on the Economic Development team at Downtown Raleigh Alliance. For those of you who are not familiar with DRA, we are an independent nonprofit contracted by the City of Raleigh to champion downtown development and support and grow the downtown business community. We assist the city in the management and maintenance of the public realm via the safety and hospitality ambassadors. Other investments include social services, storefront recruitment, business retention, arts and community engagement through programs and activations such as Jazz in the Square, First Friday, Illuminate, Dine Out Downtown. We offer business development workshops like this one, as well as conduct quarterly market reports and produce the annual State of Downtown event and report. So that's a little bit about us. Before we get started, I want to mention that we are recording this presentation and we will upload it to our website later this week. Throughout the presentation today, please use the Q&A feature as part of the Zoom webinar. That feature will allow you to submit questions that we can review. We'll try to address as many questions as possible. Okay, so June is Pride Month, and there's lots of ways to celebrate, get involved, and be an ally, not just during Pride, but year round. Today, we will hear from Harmony, North Carolina LGBT Allied Chamber of Commerce. Harmony's mission is to foster opportunities for LGBTQ+ businesses, professionals, and allies. We will also hear from Raleigh Pride on how businesses can get involved this June. Raleigh Pride is a nonprofit founded in 2019 that supports community-driven events. And afterwards, the LGBT Center of Raleigh will provide an educational session on how businesses can utilize inclusive language, hire with equity in mind, and be a safer and more affirming place for the LGBTQIA+ community. So to start, I'd like to introduce CJ Scarlett. CJ is a board member and chair of the Corporate Partnership and Outreach Committee for the North Carolina LGBT and Allied Chamber of Commerce. CJ, thank you for being here and sharing more about Harmony and how businesses can get involved.
Thank you so much, Roxanne. I really appreciate you having me here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And start the slide presentation. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So let's see if I can make it. There we go. So as you mentioned, our mission is to foster opportunities for LGBT+ businesses and professionals and our allies. We were known as Raleigh Business and Professionals Network for many, many years, but we recently rebranded to Harmony NC LGBT+ Allied Chamber of Commerce. So we're now just shorten it to Harmony, and it makes it easier. We're a 501c6 nonprofit and professional organization that has a membership of business owners and individual professionals and allies who support the LGBT community. We are an affiliate of the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and as the official LGBT chamber affiliate, we're responsible for the 50 easternmost counties of North Carolina. We have several initiatives underway, including a geographical expansion to better support the LGBT+ businesses and professional communities under our purview, with a particular emphasis on helping LGBT-owned organizations become certified as minority-owned businesses. So about LGBTE certification. LGBTE means LGBT business enterprise. Certification is really important for LGBT-owned businesses because it gives them access to contracts with corporations that they otherwise might not get. So you have to be at least 51% owned and managed by an LGBT+ individual. And qualifying, the cost of the certification with NGLCC, the National Gay Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, is normally $400 to get certified, and then $200 every other year to become recertified. But when you become a business level member of the chamber, which only costs $100, you get all of that for free. So every other year you get your free recertification, and you get your initial certification at no charge, just for $100 a year being a member of the chamber. Certification matters because, again, it gives the businesses the opportunities to compete for those sourcing contracts with the NGLCC's corporate supplier diversity partners. These partners have committed to creating a diverse supply chain that's inclusive of LGBT businesses, and have targeted amounts for spending with diverse business enterprises. Getting your business certified is essential to gaining access to these millions in corporate dollars, and also includes these additional benefits: national recognition by America's top corporations as a certified LGBT business enterprise, eligibility to exhibit at the annual NGLCC Business and Leadership Conference, as well as regional events, automatic inclusion in the NGLCC's online searchable database for certified businesses, which is accessible by NGLCC corporate partners, eligibility to receive sourcing opportunity emails from NGLCC and its corporate partners, and eligibility to participate in mentorship programs, leadership trainings, and scholarship opportunities. Let's talk about our business directory. On our website, which is harmonync.org, we have a business directory. We're working now to encourage all of our business level members and above to get their profile on the business directory. It's an opportunity to promote your business, and it's searchable by industry, which makes it great. Also searchable by name. And we're working now, as I said, to encourage eligible members to claim their directory pages. That's a benefit you get when you become a business level member of the chamber. Let's talk about our job board. This is something we're building right now. We hope to have it ready in July, but it may be August. We've just gotten a sponsor, Dilworth Coffee, to take on the job board costs to build it and get it out there. So the job board will allow LGBT-friendly organizations to connect with LGBT+ and allied talent. They get to post job opportunities. Businesses get to post their job opportunities, and applicants get to look for opportunities on the site. It helps LGBT+ individuals identify organizations that are affirming and supportive, and have a supportive working environment. Members can get, people who go on the job board can post unlimited job postings for $10 a month. It's a self-managed posting portal that can be accessed at any time. And again, jobs are linked to categories and industries, as well as additional filters for applicants to find relevant jobs. Each job posting can have images, and also link to an organization's bio page in the Harmony directory, which also serves as an employer profile page. Additional banner ad packages will be available for advertising on the job board, and job board postings will be shared at random on Harmony's social media sites. Feature postings will be available for purchase, for highlighting on social media and the Harmony newsletter. And again, we hope to have this up in July, but it may be August. It'll be by sometime in the summer. Just an FYI, we have a couple of social events coming up in June. We have our monthly social at is it Parazade or Parazad in Raleigh? Corey might know. And then we have our quarterly dinner on the 22nd of June at the Capital City Club. This is really exciting. We've invited Elaine Marshall to join us as our guest speaker and talk about how organizations can take advantage of the companies that are coming into the Triangle. And you can go on our website, harmonync.org, and learn more about these events and register. The social events are free to attend, and you get a free drink when you go. And our dinner events are very reasonably priced, $25 for members and $35 for non-members. So this is our web address again, harmonync.org, and I am happy to take any questions you all have.
Thank you so much, CJ.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to see.
Oh, I'm going to stop. Yeah, okay, there you go.
All right. So there are lots of ways that businesses can get involved through Harmony. And so thank you for that. Now I have Josh Lamb with us. Josh is one of the co-founders of Raleigh Pride. He's here to share more about the organization and how downtown Raleigh businesses can get involved in Pride this June. Thanks for being here, Josh.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Josh Lamb. I'm a co-founder and treasurer of Raleigh Pride. So there are a couple of ways that everyone can get involved this year. What you're looking at is the front page of our website, which is raleighdpridenc.com. The link at the top to get involved will take you to a couple of forms that we have built. One is for event promotion. So if between the dates of the 1st and last of June, you have planned an event that you would like for Raleigh Pride to promote on social media, you're always welcome to submit the event information. And then if it fits with what we have going on, we're always happy to promote that both on the website as well as on social media. We get a lot of questions about how also to volunteer, and the best opportunity for that this year is going to be at the Out Raleigh Pride Festival, which is on June 25th from 11 to 6. We are actively working with the planning committee to put that on as well. And then for businesses themselves, the best way to get involved with us would be to run a month-long promotion, and that can look however it needs to. We do ask a number of questions on this form that are related to the type of special that you intend to run, whether your business is food, beverage, retail, or other. We're open to other. In the past, a good example, because I also happen to be a manager at Bittersweet on Martin Street, we put together a cocktail called the Equalitini. I think there was a nice little graphic earlier of that. Thank you, Roxanne. And what we did was that was just available on our menu. We had little table settings that said, hey, if you would like this drink, this is what's in it. This is how much it is. Proceeds are benefiting the LGBT Center of Raleigh or Raleigh Pride. And that at the end of the month, that was just all said and done. And again, we do always offer promotion on social media channels for that, as well as during events. So those are the best ways to get involved and get in touch with us. And at the moment, we have 17 events listed under the Pride events page. Most of those at the moment are put on by Ruby Deluxe because they have dropped their entire list for the month. But we're adding them constantly. So at the moment, it looks like a whole lot of parties, but to be very clear, we do take a very strong focus on educational programming as well as awareness focused programming. And there will always be events that are friendly to all ages as well as sober events, because those are all very important to us. And we've taken a strong look, both this and the last couple of years with the LGBT Center and all of our collaborations on accessibility. So that, shouldn't be an issue for anyone, whether that's like price related to body ableism. So yeah, definitely drop us a line if you want to get involved or have an event that you want to promote.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Josh. So it sounds like there are a lot of ways that downtown Raleigh businesses can get involved, whether it is planning an event during Pride Month and posting it on the Raleigh Pride website, or creating some sort of promotional special that works for whatever the business type, and with proceeds benefiting Raleigh Pride and or the LGBT Center. And Raleigh Pride works very closely with the LGBT Center. So that's fantastic. Wonderful. So thank you so much. Lots of ways that businesses can get involved with Raleigh Pride. Okay. So now I'm excited to introduce Corey Hennessy. Corey is the Director of Education and Programs at the LGBT Center of Raleigh. They have been with the center for 5 years, providing education in the community, speaking on various topics, and sharing all the amazing initiatives and programs that the LGBT Center of Raleigh has to offer. Corey has their certificate in nonprofit management from Duke University and is a certified trainer with the Transgender Training Institute. Corey and their partner live in Raleigh with their 3 dogs. Welcome, Corey. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, Roxanne, for having me. I'm gonna pull up my screen here. All right, everyone can see that. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. Yeah, I do want to, say that the LGBT Center of Raleigh, we put on the Out Raleigh Pride Festival every year. But, since even before the pandemic, we've worked really closely with Raleigh Pride and have just tried to support all the efforts being put into the entire month of June and not just for our Out Raleigh Pride Festival. So it's been really great to see that kind of grow and flourish over the last couple of years, even with the pandemic. And so, I mean, I know that I'm really excited. I know that there's a lot of people in the community very excited for this June. Yeah, I'm here to talk just a little bit about ways to, be more inclusive as a small business for the LGBTQI plus community. There are a couple things that, you'll probably see that can definitely be carried over into other, intersections of the community, other, underrepresented communities. But, really, we're talking about how to be just a more inclusive and affirming business and person realistically for the community as we move into Pride Month. Just to kind of start off, just to kind of put things into perspective, because a lot of people will come to, some of these workshops and things and just as more kind of curious. Maybe you've never really worked with the community. Maybe, you don't really have a lot of friends or know many people that are part of the LGBTQ plus community. You're thinking, okay, it's not a big community. We recognize there's Pride Month and there's all these things, but it's really important to know and to see that the world is growing essentially. This statistic is just from this last year, and it went up from 5.6% to 7.1% of US adults that are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And that is just adults, right? There's much more to it if you are adding, younger folks to the percentage, to the number. That's millions of people. That is, when you really think about it, like you will eventually, if you haven't already met somebody that is a part of the community, whether they feel safe enough, to have that conversation or to, disclose, who they are and to be true to themselves around you, may be a different story, but hopefully, some of the things that we talk about today will be just some of the stepping stones that you might need to be more inclusive and affirming. Talking a little bit specifically about North Carolina, since we are this is, I know this is Raleigh Pride, but talking about the state as a whole, we're part of the South, and a lot of people are like, it gets a little complicated, right? I mean, if we've seen a lot of the laws, the anti-LGBTQ laws and things that have popped up all over the state and all over the country, but specifically kind of talking about North Carolina and Raleigh and more of the local feel. I think it's really important to kind of recognize some of the disparities before we start talking about why it matters, right? Or before we start talking about some things to change. So we start talking about the reasons of why it matters first. So again, with the percentage, 4.4% of North Carolina's population is part of the LGBTQ plus community. This is a slightly older statistic, but this is something that is growing. This is something that again, we're seeing kind of the trends moving towards people being a little bit more out and open and feeling a little bit safer being themselves. But it is still interesting to kind of see some of these comparisons between the LGBTQ plus community compared to kind of the general population. So here you see some things talking about unemployment, insurance, food insecurity, income, etc. Right? So when we create more inclusive business practices and we create safer spaces for the LGBTQ plus community, a lot of those, numbers, that gap starts to shrink. So that's why it's really important to, think about both sides of things, like the statistics and the numbers and the information of what is happening in the community, and then how you can do better. Talking specifically about the Raleigh area, we do have a fairly low percentage of LGBTQ plus adults or LGBTQ plus, people in this area. There's something that's been popping up, throughout the state since the sunset of HB2 or HB 142. Is that you probably have seen a lot of the non-discrimination ordinances that have popped up, right? And then some people have been talking about what the municipal equality index means, and where Raleigh stands compared to some other places. But one of the some of the reasons why we could be at such a lower rate of LGBTQ plus people living in this area is, for a lot of reasons. Could be the lack of legal protections, which again, I know, it's changing with the non-discrimination ordinances, which is, really great. But also lack of, programs such as housing, the law issues, and hate crime law issues, lack of representation in leadership, and just in general, maybe not feeling like the city is, as supportive as it could be, even when we're talking about, restaurants, retail businesses, and little things like that. All of these things, all of these layers can and will change how people feel about living in this area. So talking specifically about language, this is something that is really important to think about first before trying to make a lot of change within your business. Because if you aren't really thinking about and changing the way that your language is, or some of the language that you're using, you are not necessarily creating a safer space, right? So talking specifically, this is like the number one thing that everyone goes to, right, when we're talking about language, is pronouns. Pronouns is it's pronoun usage, sharing your pronouns, making pronouns visible is the number one way to show that you respect someone, and that you are a supportive person. It's something that you can say, oh, okay, I have my pronouns on my name badge, or share pronouns whenever I introduce myself to someone. Like little things like that can and will be something that LGBTQ plus, especially transgender folks, feel like, okay, this is a person that I can be a little bit more myself around. This is somebody that I could potentially or feel a little bit better about having a conversation, and even going into and spending money at a business, right? So pronouns is just a really simple way of being respectful and being inclusive. Of course, I have these three sets of pronouns. These are the three most common sets of pronouns. There are more pronouns out there. I definitely would encourage people to do a little bit of research and read a little bit more about different sets of pronouns, especially neo-pronouns, what some of them mean, how to use them. Because I think, as much as we like to say, okay, those are fairly rarely used pronouns, there's a still pretty good chance, especially being in, a metro city area, that you will interact with, or, have conversations, or potentially even have employees or candidates potentially apply for positions that you are hiring for. So it's really important, and it's really the most basic thing that you can do to be a more supportive person. There's a little asterisk at the bottom saying, move away from saying preferred pronouns. This is something that is some people are still having a little bit of a harder time moving away from, because for such a long time we were saying, okay, the language we were using is what are your preferred pronouns, but we're really trying to move away from using that term preferred. And that could be realistically for anything, right? There's sometimes people will say, what's your sexual preference? What's your, how do you prefer to identify? There's little, like, it might seem like it's such a small little thing, but it's really important. I mean, language is important. That's how we interact with each other. That's how we gauge, how we're going to be treated by others. So not using that term preferred really shows that you understand that, pronouns are pronouns. For example, my name is Corey. I use they, them pronouns. Those are my pronouns, right? That's not something that I prefer. That's something that makes me feel, more whole, and makes me feel more seen. It makes me feel more comfortable, right? So pronouns are pronouns, just like, anything else. So, realistically, this could be on applications. This could be just on any sort of other paperwork or forms. This could be even in, conversation, person-to-person conversation. Not using the term preferred is important, and to use the term, hey, what are your pronouns, or what are your affirming pronouns? There's definitely other language or different languages you can use to just be more affirming and be a safer place and person for people to interact with. Talking a little bit about other inclusive language, I think that, some questions that I typically get are, how do we interact with groups of people? Or, what do we say instead of, this term or this term, right? There's definitely a lot of ways that we can change our language, kind of restructuring sentences, and really, just really thinking intentionally about how we view people, right? So don't go into a situation where you're assuming someone's identity or someone's background. So, for example, if you manage a restaurant, and there's a group of people that come in that, automatically in your mind, you might think, oh, well, they all look fairly feminine, so I'm going to say ladies. Well, that shouldn't be the case, right? We should be kind of retraining our brain to say something other than, gendered terms, because you don't know how those people identify. You don't know what language, they use for themselves. So to show that, you are working towards being more inclusive and understanding of different identities, use different terms, saying, hey, everyone, or hey, y'all. We are in the South. That is a common term that people do use. Or if, you don't use y'all, maybe you all. There's all sorts of different things that you can say instead of saying, hey, ladies, or hey, guys, or being really gendered in that way, right? When you're talking with, someone, whether it's an employee, a client, a patron, whatever, instead of, assuming someone might have a husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, maybe saying spouse or partner. Those are some really good ways of again, kind of moving away from making assumptions on how someone identifies, or, what someone's background is. Here's a really big one. Using the terms ma'am or sir. It's not easy. It's not easy, one, because, again, I've said this a couple times, we are in the South. It is a taught thing. It's something that, I've heard from a lot of people. I didn't grow up in the South. So, this is not as like common for me, but like, from conversations I've had with a lot of people, that is something that, you've learned, right? That you we're told as a kid, this is how to be respectful to someone, right? But, as we see the world changing and growing and becoming more diverse, we really want to make sure that we're being inclusive of everyone. So, moving away from using some of those terms, again, is another way to be respectful. Some people ask me what terms can you use instead of ma'am or sir, and there really isn't like a gender neutral word to use. So instead, use different things. Change up your sentence structure. Change up the way you think you introduce yourself or you greet someone. Say, "Hey friend, how's it going?" Or, "Hey, how can I help you today?" Instead of saying, "How can I help you, ma'am or sir?" Right? Again, just it's all about the language and the word choices. Using person first and person centered language. So instead of saying something like the woman over there, right? Or "Excuse me, ma'am," "Excuse me, sir," or, anything like that, right? Saying something like "person with the red shirt, you forgot your receipt," or "Hey, that person standing next to the candles, they, need help finding, something in particular that they're looking for." This kind of, again, moves into other intersecting identities. So instead of saying, a homeless person or, somebody that's starving, like a starving person, right? Using language like "person experiencing food insecurity" or "person who is houseless." So again, really showing that you are intentionally choosing person first language, and you're seeing the person as who they are instead of some of the things or the way they identify or some of the things that they're dealing with. So that's just some of the language choices that you can change and shift just to work towards being slightly more inclusive and affirming, and just overall a better place for people to feel comfortable coming into. Talking specifically about recruitment, hiring practices, all the little things that a lot of people are like, okay, how can I make changes internally before, trying to, essentially kind of put some rainbows on things and show that you are I'm a business that is supportive of the LGBTQ plus community, right? It's really important to think about like internal practices or internal things before, announcing that you are LGBTQ plus friendly, right? Because you want to make sure that your employees and then people that are currently working for you or could be working for you in the future, feel safe, right? So starting with some workplace policies. Do you have a discrimination policy? What does it include? It's really important to be transparent. It's important to have that as a very visible thing, because when people are applying for jobs, especially people that are, a part of an underrepresented community or a marginalized community, people go and do their research. They look for these things. So if you have a website, if you have any sort of profile, like if you are part of the Chamber of Commerce, if you have anything that you post in any different places, is it obvious that, or is it visible for people to be able to come and see, okay, this is your this is your discrimination policy. Does it include gender identity? Does it include sexual orientation? Does it include gender expression? What's included in there? How inclusive is it for people of different identities? Does your benefits package keep everyone in mind? Obviously, not every place is able to offer all of the benefits that, maybe a bigger corporation might be able to offer. But if you have medical benefits, Do you take do you take people that may be in a same gender relationship, do you take them into consideration, right? So if someone is, you hire someone who is married to or in a relationship with someone of the same gender, do you take into consideration that, that person might need support or might, want to extend medical benefits to their spouse or partner? Whether you offer those things or not, it's still important to kind of think about, thinking about is the policy very, very much saying, okay, we will, you can extend benefits to your husband, or wife, right? Or does it say, again, kind of going back to that language, what's included there? The same with transgender folks, right? Does your medical benefits, does that include, transgender folks that want to go through medical transition? Does it include, any sort of coverage on surgeries, other types of medications that might be, necessary? What's included there? What are some ways that you can, look at some of those things and change in order to be, a place that is equal to everybody that's working there? Is everyone going to be able to get the care that they need to be able to keep themselves healthy enough to, continue their employment with you? Life insurance is another thing. Again, you might be able to offer it, you might not be able to offer it, but life insurance, for example, transgender people, there's very, very few life insurance policies that will cover a transgender person. So, making sure you're really doing the research and really, being able to find options and opportunities that will, again, make sure that you are offering equal benefits to all of your employees, regardless of identity. And then paid time off. This is something that most businesses have. There's, whether you are able to offer other types of benefits, paid time off and sick leave, paid leave, etc. Is something that's really important. There's been a push, in the more towards like the higher, there's been a push in the government that, is trying to expand certain things, is trying to fight for paid leave and sick leave for, people of different identities, people that have different needs. Does your paid time off include, opportunities, say, if you, again, have an employee that is transgender, if they, are, going through surgery or, might have other doctor's appointments, more doctor's appointments, other things like that they have to deal with, is it inclusive of taking all those things into account? Does your paid time off, do you have paid time off policies that include people that may have, again, may not necessarily be legally married to their partner, but what if something happens to them? Are you inclusive of being able to offer those things? And then what's in place for and I say when and not necessarily if, for when an employee comes out as transgender. So you may hire someone and at some point, they may disclose that they are transgender, they, are changing their name, changing their pronouns, little things like that, right? Do you have anything in place now compared to making those changes when this potentially happens? Something that I see, a lot happening a lot is that, a business will reach out to me and say, hey, we have, this has never happened to us before, but one of our employees just came out as transgender. What do we do, right? So thinking about these things ahead of time and making the changes in policies and all of these things now versus when it happens is going to be that green flag of, oh, okay, if a transgender person, comes in, applies for a position that you are offering, they are going to feel safe enough to apply to your position and feel safe enough having that conversation instead of, waiting for a few months to gauge whether it's going to be safe for them to come out or not. So thinking about, what happens if someone changes their name, how are you going to handle that, especially with not being able to, someone might not be able to legally change their name because it's very time consuming and pretty costly. What do your bathrooms look like? Do you have gender neutral signs on bathrooms? Do you have single stall restrooms? Some of these are more structural and harder to change now, but pretty much every place has at least an employee bathroom. So what is the language and what does it say on there, right? And then of course, pronoun usage. Again, pronouns is something that comes up quite often and something that you really do have to continuously think about because again, language is ever evolving, things are changing, people are feeling more comfortable kind of sharing who they are. So thinking about these things and making these changes now versus when someone comes out, when an employee comes out, or when you want to or try to hire someone who is part of the community is going to make a really big difference and show that you are an inclusive and affirming place to work. So when you're searching for talent, there's other things to take into consideration. Is it clear that you're a safe and affirming place? So not just talking about your discrimination policy. Your discrimination policy is a very important thing, and that's something, one of the main things that people will go and look for to see what is covered under there. But also, do you acknowledge the community in anything, whether it's social media, your website, your actual physical building? What is up? What do you see? Do you do things that are outside of just Pride Month celebrations? And then, of course, supporting the community both inside and outside of the building. That can include things like, are you involved in any, community-based efforts? Are you someone who, as a business owner might be, fairly recognizable? Are there things that you are doing to show the community that you as a business owner you're trying to make change and you're trying to do better for the community, both inside and outside of the physical business? What do your job postings include? Does it include everybody? Again, going back to that inclusive language, when you post for a job, typically you post something and you're like, it's all fairly gender neutral language. It's all fairly, like everything's pretty much laid out. Like there's not really a lot of changes, but sometimes it can get pretty sneaky, right? Things can sneak up on you. So say you have a description of the actual job or description of what the employee would be working on. Do you use, for example, if there's a sentence that says, he or she or he/she will be doing X, Y, and Z. Or could you change that to say the employee will do X, Y, and Z, or using just they, the word they, the more gender neutral pronoun. So thinking about a lot of those little things and really, really being intentional with kind of, doing a whole look over of all the things that you are doing, from posting the job to any sort of new hire paperwork to what do you do once that person is hired. All those different things does and will make a big difference. Are you proactive with your searches? Are you posting just your job postings on something like Indeed or LinkedIn? Or are you really being intentional with, sharing your job postings with LGBTQ plus places? So like CJ was talking about, you have an opportunity, in the next couple of months to potentially post job postings on the LGBTQ plus job board with Harmony. That is a really, really good way to be a little bit more intentional with where you are, searching for talent. That also could include sending, job postings to other LGBTQ plus organizations, or, finding, groups that you could potentially share with. So like young nonprofits, that's a really good place to share a job posting, or just sharing with people that you know. So, for example, I know that us at the LGBT Center of Raleigh, we get people that will say, hey, is this something that you could share with your network? That's a really good way for some of us as individuals too, to be able to share with the people that we know. And the same with career events, career fairs that aren't just geared towards, more privileged individuals, but career fairs that may be, more for like new talent or younger talent, or maybe different types of identities. Just so again, kind of being more intentional with how you are doing some of your searches for, folks that you are looking to hire. And then, of course, do you do any sort of follow up with the candidates? You may have a bunch of people that will apply to a job, but do you do any sort of feedback? Do you have any sort of surveys? Do you say, hey, we interviewed you for this position. We really love to hear some feedback. Just like how a lot of candidates will ask you for feedback on how they did, right? It's a really good way to, understand some of the things that you might not be doing too well with, and then to make some change. So working with diverse employees, what are some of the things that you are doing with the current employees that you have? And then kind of moving forward whenever you are hiring more folks. Are you providing the necessary tools? So do you provide training opportunities, whether it is for, someone who you hired that you might, that maybe they need a little bit of help with inclusive language or terminology. Is there opportunities that you are providing to them so that you are continuing to make sure that everybody that's working there is on the same page and being inclusive? That also could mean training opportunities for LGBTQ people that may not have had as many, opportunities in the past. This is something that you can see a lot of potential with. This is somebody that could really fit well into the company or business. But maybe they don't check all the boxes for things that, you might need in that person, right? So, really thinking about, okay, I think this person would really do well here. So what are some things that I can provide to them to make sure that they are getting, the training and experience and understanding that they need to be able to do this role successfully? So again, that's being intentional with who you're hiring, right? Making sure that you're kind of offering those training and learning opportunities. Is it a learning environment? Again, where are people that are currently working there, is it a safe place for them to be able to, teach the people that are coming in? And is it a place where, you can continue that learning and continue those ways to make it an inclusive environment in place? Chances to correct mistakes. Mistakes happen. We are all human. Instead of, automatically going to some sort of disciplinary action. Obviously, there are certain things that do happen, but Little things here and there, especially with a new employee, especially with someone, again, that may not have had as many opportunities as maybe a more privileged employee, making sure that you are giving them chances and opportunities and tools that they need. Accommodations that can be like different learning styles, that could be, for someone who, again, might be transgender, or may have other needs. Just making sure that you're taking those things into consideration, and you're talking to your employees and the people that you're working with. And then, of course, staff development, and then staff bonding in some ways, creating a better team and creating, just a more diverse and welcoming environment. There's a lot of different things that you could think about, as far as development and ways that you connect with each other. Are you asking for constructive feedback from current staff? And exit interviews are also really good ways to continue increasing inclusive practices and increasing, how you are moving forward as a business. And then affirming businesses, creating safer and more affirming spaces. Some of this is a little bit, I'm repeating some of these things, but I think, a lot of it is really important to know and to take away from today. But what happens when you have an LGBTQ plus client or a patron that comes in? Do you have gender inclusive restroom facilities? Do you display employee pronouns on badges, signature or signage, signatures as well, name tags? Is it something that you share whenever you interact with customers? Do you display pride with more physical symbols? I mean, it's not something where you have to hang pride flags all over the walls, but a lot of businesses will have like a little sticker in the window. A lot of businesses, will make sure that they are showing that there's inclusion and diversity within, their signage and different things. Do you greet every client or patron with the same regardless of their identity? It's, again, thinking about kind of some of those maybe more internal, not as obvious biases, and then also watching how some of your other employees are interacting with customers. Do you have employees that represent the communities that you are serving? This is a really, really important one. And, a lot of these changes that you can be making from the start will start to change that. Representation does matter. And when people walk into a business and they see someone that looks like them, they're like, yeah, this is a place that I can go to. And does it show that you support LGBTQ plus organizations? If you have the ability to donate to local causes, that's something that's really, important for a lot of people to see that you are, providing support in different ways. Do you volunteer, or do you offer any sort of skills-based volunteering to organizations or groups, or just realistically, for the community in general? Is this something that, you are able to do and something that you are being intentional about? Do you participate in events? Like Josh was saying, this is a really good way to, kind of kick off, like within Pride Month, going to, to the Raleigh Pride community, and registering your whether you're doing something during Pride Month, whether you're having some sort of event, whether it's a month-long promotion, anything like that. Participating in these types of things does show that you're a more inclusive place. Do you host events? That's also another good way. If you are a place where you have more space, you have more opportunity and ability to, be that hosting site. Great. That's a really, really great way to do, to show more inclusivity. And then all of the above, even outside of Pride Month. I do like to say this, and I like to, make sure that people do know and understand and follow this, because, Pride is not just the month of June. It's not just, okay, 1 month we put on, our rainbow hats and that's it. Like, people that are part of this community they identify this way all year round. It's not just in the month of June. So, being intentional and thinking about things and ways that you can support the community outside of the month of June is also very, very important. So I'm done. I'm gonna stop talking. But of course, there's a lot more that you can be doing. And I would love to, have more conversations with people. There's I do a lot of intensive trainings, more in-depth trainings on the community, especially if this is something that you are just not as familiar with. Please reach out. I am always love having conversations with people about these things and love to be able to offer what I can. So.
Thank you so much, Corey. I really appreciate it. Lots of great information there. And it sounds like there are a lot of ways that businesses can take small steps. Obviously, a business, small or big, they don't need to do everything all at once, but just taking those small steps really makes a difference in making someone feel more included and welcome and safe. And that's so important. So thank you so much for sharing ways that businesses can support the community. And June is around the corner. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I know Downtown Raleigh is going to come out and support through either Out Raleigh Pride Festival or getting involved in having a featured product or promotion, throwing an event, or even just registering through the Harmony business directory. So there's lots of ways to get involved with Raleigh Pride, the LGBT Center, Harmony, and the Out Raleigh Pride Festival. So I'm looking forward to this June, and I am happy to take any questions from businesses on how to get involved and connect you all with Josh, Corey, or CJ. And let's paint Raleigh with pride this June and year round. So we do have a couple minutes for questions if there are any, and if not, then I will be posting this webinar on our YouTube channel as well as on our website for future reference. I think that this is really valuable information for business training and just continually learning and growing as people. So if there, let's see, for all the okay, so just to reiterate what was shared and how storefront businesses can get involved, can we just go around real quick? CJ, do you mind just reiterating, and then Josh and Corey on some of the takeaways from today?
Sure. Membership in Harmony NC LGBT plus Allied Chamber of Commerce is very inexpensive. It's very cost effective, and it offers so many opportunities for your business to get known and to network with other businesses and individuals who can become customers. So I encourage you to go to harmonync.org and look at our membership levels and join.
And then for Raleigh Pride, the best way to get in touch with us is going to be at raleigh.pridnc.org and filling out the 2 very specific forms, whether that is an event you've put together that you would like promoted, or if you have an idea for a month-long special to run, we're happy to promote it. And one thing I should be a little more clear about is, when it comes to the event promotion as well as a participating business, that doesn't necessarily mean, that we as Raleigh Pride are getting involved and coming into your space and doing anything at all. I mean, it's very much meant to be like, funneled all into one place so that there is like a singular resource for anyone to come and see, like, okay, this has been checked out by people, and I know that this is a safe place for me, or, business very outwardly, we are being inclusive, we are ready for you, we want to see you, and we are giving back to your community as a result. So those are the ways to get involved with us in Raleigh Pride in 2022.
And with the LGBT Center of Raleigh, you know, of course, without Raleigh Pride, it is June 25th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's a really great way to just come out and you know, show your support for the community. There's a volunteering opportunities that are still available. So a really good way to get connected in and to kind of give back. And then just with the center as a whole, you know, again, I do offer like more in-depth trainings on, you know, how to interact with the community, what the community, you know, is about, what you can do more to be supportive. And we also have a lot of programs, different ways that, you know, you can learn more. And so really the best thing to do is just to reach out and have a conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you all for signing in today and listening to this small business workshop. Thank you, Corey, Josh, and CJ. I appreciate your time and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.